Decoded.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Book Decoded, where we break down these powerful reads and try to extract those golden nuggets of knowledge. So today we're cracking open Unwind, 7 Principles for a Stress-Free Life by Michael Olpin, Sam Bracken, and Franklin Covey.
Buckle up.
Buckle up, because this one's packed with actionable advice, and I am so excited to dive in with you.
Yeah, this one really is. And what I think is so fascinating about this book is that it's not just offering like coping mechanisms, you know?
Right.
It really guides you toward understanding the root causes of your stress and then like eliminating them altogether.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So where do we even begin to tackle this stress monster? Because I think we can all relate to feeling stressed out.
Well, the authors kick things off by painting a pretty alarming picture of just how widespread stress is.
Okay.
It's a global epidemic. I mean, think about this. In the U.S. alone, stress is costing the economy an estimated $300 billion every year.
Wow, that's a serious chunk of change.
It is a lot of money.
What's contributing to this financial stress fest?
Well, it's a combination of things, but the book highlights that 40% of job turnover is directly due to stress.
Wow.
And get this, healthcare costs for individuals who are chronically stressed are almost 50% higher than those who aren't.
Ouch. So that's a double whammy. Hurting our wallets and our health.
Exactly.
So we're talking about more than just, a few headaches here.
Right, and the book dives into that scary link between chronic stress and, serious health issues like heart disease and even cancer.
Oh, wow.
It weakens our immune systems, making us more susceptible to all sorts of illnesses.
So stress is literally making us sick.
Yeah, it can.
That's terrifying. But wait, doesn't stress also have a good side, like that burst of energy you get when you're facing a challenge?
That's a great point, and the book addresses this too. It explains that stress itself isn't inherently bad.
Okay.
In fact, it's a natural, even beneficial response designed to protect us in dangerous situations.
Okay, so like when you're about to get hit by a bus, that jolt of adrenaline helps you jump out of the way.
Exactly. It's our primal fight-or-flight response kicking in.
Got it.
Remember Michael Olpin's story about encountering a rattlesnake while mountain biking?
Oh, yeah, the one where you had to make a split-second decision to avoid getting bitten.
Yes. His experience perfectly illustrates how that stress response in those moments is incredibly valuable.
Right.
It provides us with that surge of energy and focus we need to react quickly and escape danger.
So our bodies are basically superheroes in disguise, ready to spring into action when we need the most.
I like that.
But how does that helpful stress response turn into this chronic monster that's causing all these problems?
That's the key question. The problem is that modern life keeps our stress switch flipped on constantly, even when we're not facing real physical threats.
Okay.
We're bombarded with deadlines, expectations, social pressures, and information overload.
Right.
And our brains can't distinguish between a real threat like that rattlesnake and a perceived threat like a looming work deadline.
So we're basically living in a perpetual state of OMG, the world is ending, even when it's not.
Pretty much.
No wonder we're stressed out.
Yeah.
But the book doesn't just leave us hanging with this doom and gloom, right?
No, not at all.
There's got to be a way to break free from this chronic stress cycle.
Absolutely. And this is where things get really interesting. The book introduces a concept they call the gap.
Okay.
It's the space between a stressor, that deadline, that traffic jam, that frustrating email,
Right.
and our reaction to it.
Okay, so it's like a pause button we can hit before we spiral into panic mode.
The authors argue that this gap, while often fleeting, is where our power to choose lies. It's in that moment of awareness that we can decide whether to react automatically with stress and overwhelm,
Right.
or to choose a different, more empowering response.
Wait, so you're saying I can actually choose not to get stressed?
Yeah.
I mean, some things are just inherently stressful, right?
I hear you. It sounds a bit like magic, but the book offers some pretty compelling evidence and strategies to support this idea. And it all starts with understanding the power of our paradigms.
Paradigms, okay, hold on. We need a definition here. What exactly are paradigms and how do they play into all of this?
So a paradigm is basically a mental model or a set of beliefs that shapes how we see the world and interpret our experiences.
Okay.
It's like a lens through which we view everything.
Got it.
And the book emphasizes that our paradigms can either fuel our stress or help us dismantle it.
So if my paradigm is that everything is always going wrong, I'm probably going to experience a lot more stress than someone who believes they can handle whatever comes their way.
Exactly. The book encourages a shift from a reactive paradigm where we feel powerless and blame external factors to a proactive one where we take responsibility and focus on what we can control.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we actually make that shift? Because let's be real, sometimes it feels like the world is out to get us.
I get it. It's not always easy. But the book provides a framework for making that shift, and it all begins with understanding the difference between reactive and proactive responses.
All right, let's dive into that. Give me an example of how a reactive person might respond to a stressful situation compared to a proactive person.
Okay, let's say you get stuck in traffic on your way to an important meeting.
Ugh, I hate when that happens.
A reactive person might get furious, honk their horn, and blame the traffic for making them late.
Right.
They feel like a victim of circumstance. A proactive person, on the other hand, would acknowledge the situation,
Okay.
but then focus on what they can control.
Gotcha.
They might call ahead to let the meeting organizer know they're running late, or they might use the time to mentally prepare for the meeting.
Right.
They see it as an opportunity to make the best of a less than ideal situation.
So it's about shifting our focus from what we can't control to what we can.
Exactly.
That's actually really empowering, but sometimes even knowing that it's hard to break free from those automatic stress responses.
I agree it takes practice, but the book lays out a roadmap for making that shift, starting with something they call the inspired paradigm.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing. So how do we tap into this inspired paradigm and start rewiring our brains for less stress and more tranquility?
Well, that's a great question, and it takes us to the next principle, which focuses on finding a deeper sense of purpose and direction.
Okay.
It's about shifting from feeling unmotivated and stuck to feeling inspired and driven by a clear vision for your life. And this principle emphasizes the importance of having a clear end in mind,
Yeah.
a vision for your life that guides your decisions and actions.
So instead of just reacting to whatever life throws at me, I should be proactively moving towards something that truly matters to me.
Precisely. Remember Sam Bracken's story about finding his end in mind after he collapsed on the track field?
Oh, yeah.
That health scare really forced him to confront his mortality and reevaluate what was truly important.
Yeah, his story really resonated with me. It's like sometimes it takes a major wake-up call to realize we're not living in alignment with our deepest values.
Absolutely. And the book suggests that defining a personal mission statement can be a powerful starting point. Think about what you want your legacy to be, what impact you want to make on the world.
Right.
It doesn't have to be grandiose, just something that gives your life direction and meaning.
I love that idea. It's like creating a compass to guide us through life's ups and downs. But let's be honest, even with a clear end in mind, life can still feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
There's so many demands on our time and energy.
That's where the next principle comes in, prioritizing to avoid what the book calls vapor lock.
Vapor lock. Okay, now you've got me curious. What's the connection between car engines and stress management?
Well, it's a brilliant analogy. Think about what happens when a car engine overheats.
Okay.
It experiences vapor lock where the fuel can't reach the engine properly and everything just stalls out.
Ah, so you're saying that when we try to do too much at once, our brains basically overheat and we become ineffective.
Exactly. The book emphasizes the importance of identifying our primary responsibilities, the things that truly matter, and learning to say no to less important tasks that drain our energy and contribute to feeling overwhelmed.
Okay, I can definitely relate to that. I'm a total yes person, and I often end up juggling way too many things at once. It's exhausting, but learning to say no can be tough, especially when we want to please everyone.
I hear you. It's a skill that takes practice, but it's crucial for protecting our time and energy. The book suggests thinking of it like a football player focusing on blocking the opposing linebacker.
Okay.
If that player gets distracted by secondary tasks, they won't be effective at their primary responsibility.
That makes perfect sense. We can't be everything to everyone. So how do we determine which tasks are truly primary and which ones we can delegate or even say no to?
Well, the book offers several practical tips, but a key one is to align your tasks with your end in mind.
Okay.
If a task doesn't directly contribute to your overall mission or goals, it's likely a candidate for delegation or elimination.
That's super helpful. It's like having a filter to help us make more conscious choices about where we invest our energy. So we've talked about taking responsibility for our reactions, finding inspiration in a clear vision, and prioritizing our tasks. What's the next step on this path to unwinding?
So the fourth principle addresses a huge source of stress for many people, social interactions.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about cultivating empathy as the antidote to social stress.
Oh, man, social stress is real. Whether it's dealing with difficult coworkers, navigating family drama, or even just feeling anxious in social situations, it can really take a toll. But how exactly does empathy help with all that?
Well, empathy is about truly understanding another person's perspective and feelings without necessarily agreeing with them or trying to fix their problems.
Okay.
It's different from sympathy, which is more about feeling sorry for someone. Empathy is about connection, about stepping into their shoes and seeing the world through their eyes.
Right. I remember the story in the book about Sam Bracken mentoring at-risk youth. Initially, he tried to lecture them about making good choices. But it wasn't until he started truly listening with empathy that he was able to connect with them on a deeper level.
Exactly. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do to help someone and reduce our own stress in the process is to simply listen with an open heart and try to understand where they're coming from.
That's so powerful. It's like empathy creates a bridge of understanding that can dissolve tension and conflict. But what about when we encounter people who hold drastically different viewpoints from our own joy? Those interactions can be especially stressful, especially in today's polarized world.
That's a great point, and it leads us to the fifth principle, which encourages us to embrace diversity for greater synergy.
So instead of seeing differences as threats, we should view them as opportunities for growth and learning.
Precisely, the book challenges us to move beyond defensiveness and recognize that diversity of thought, background, and experience can lead to more creative solutions and a richer understanding of the world.
It makes sense. If everyone in a group thinks the same way, you're likely to miss out on valuable insights and innovative ideas.
Exactly. The book highlights Sam's experience partnering with the Susan G. Komen Foundation, a breast cancer organization.
Oh, yeah.
Despite their different backgrounds and approaches, they were able to create a successful marketing campaign that benefited both the company and the fight against breast cancer.
That's a fantastic example of how embracing diversity can lead to win-win situations. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Being proactive, finding inspiration, setting priorities, cultivating empathy, and embracing diversity. Well, I'm already feeling less stressed just talking about these principles.
Me too, but we're not done yet. The sixth principle reminds us that unwinding is a holistic practice, addressing all aspects of our being: mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual.
So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about taking care of our whole selves.
Exactly. The book is packed with practical techniques for each dimension. Things like guided imagery, meditation, exercise relaxation techniques, connecting with nature, spending time with loved ones, and nurturing our spiritual side.
It's like a buffet of stress-busting strategies. But with so many options, how do we know which techniques will work best for us?
That's where experimentation comes in. The key is to try different approaches and see what resonates with you. What brings you a sense of calm, joy, and connection.
That's a great reminder. It's about finding what works for us individually, not trying to force ourselves into a one-size-fits-all mold. So once we've discovered our go-to unwinding techniques, how do we make them a sustainable part of our lives?
That's a great question, and it leads us to the seventh and final principle, making unwinding a habit.
The power of habit. I've read a lot about how habits shape our lives, but how do we actually go about making unwinding a consistent practice rather than just something we do sporadically when we're feeling super stressed? Making unwinding a habit.
Yeah, this principle is all about taking those amazing, stress-busting techniques we discussed and weaving them into the fabric of our daily lives.
Because, let's face it, a quick meditation session once a month isn't going to magically transform us into Zen masters, right?
Exactly. It's about consistency.
Yeah.
And making those small but impactful choices day after day.
So how do we go from sporadically remembering to unwind to actually making it like a non-negotiable part of our routine?
Well, the book outlines a few key steps. First, set realistic goals. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight.
Right.
Start with one small change, like committing to a 5-minute meditation each morning or taking a 15-minute walk during your lunch break.
Okay, small steps. I can handle that. What's next?
Next, track your progress.
Okay.
This could be as simple as marking a calendar or using a habit tracking app.
Right.
Seeing those consistent check marks can be incredibly motivating and help you stay on track.
I love that idea. It's like giving ourselves a visual reminder of our commitment to unwinding. But what about those days when life throws a curveball and our carefully crafted routine goes out the window?
That's where flexibility and self-compassion come in. It's okay to have off days,
Right.
The key is to not beat ourselves up and to simply get back on track as soon as possible.
So it's about progress, not perfection. I could definitely get behind that. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about finding tranquility, even in the midst of challenging experiences.
Oh, yes. The idea of finding tranquility in the crucible.
Yeah.
These are those moments when life tests us,
Right.
pushing us to our limits.
Like those times when it feels like everything is going wrong and we just want to crawl under the covers and hide.
Exactly. But the book offers a powerful reframe. It suggests that these challenging experiences, while difficult, can actually be opportunities for growth and self-discovery.
So instead of seeing them as setbacks, we can view them as opportunities to learn and become more resilient.
Precisely. Remember Sam Bracken's story about overcoming multiple football injuries.
Yeah.
Instead of letting those setbacks define him, he used them as fuel to become stronger, both physically and mentally.
His story is so inspiring. It reminds us that we have the power to choose how we respond to adversity.
And it's not just about surviving those tough times, it's about thriving in spite of them. The book even quotes J.K. Rowling's famous Harvard commencement speech where she talks about the fringe benefits of failure. She went through a period of poverty and depression before achieving incredible success with Harry Potter.
Wow. I never thought of failure as having fringe benefits, but it makes sense looking back. We can often see how those difficult experiences shaped us for the better.
Exactly. They helped us develop resilience, grit, and a deeper appreciation for the good times.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Unwind, 7 principles for a stress-free life, what's the one key takeaway you hope listeners will remember?
I think the most important message is that tranquility is a choice.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something we find, it's something we create through our daily actions and mindset shifts.
I love that it's empowering to know that we have more control over our stress levels than we often realize.
Absolutely. And remember, unwinding shouldn't feel like another chore. It's about finding those activities and practices that bring you joy, nourish your soul, and help you recharge.
So true. It's about making self-care a priority, not a luxury.
Exactly. And as we navigate the inevitable ups and downs of life, remember that tranquility is always within reach.
This has been an incredible journey through the pages of Unwind. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel inspired to create a more tranquil life for yourself.
It's been a pleasure decoding this book with you.
Until next time, stay curious, stay mindful, and keep unwinding.